Did you forget about me?
Yes. I,
You're
ca-
in trouble.
I called Alan and I go, I'm totally the idiot here. I am absolutely the idiot here.
I called him and told him the same thing. I said, he's the idiot. No, I didn't. I'm totally kidding.
No, I
It's
deserve
fine.
it. I deserve it, though. No, we're just.
I'm not going to punish you. I love you too much.
Candice, I'm going to tell you right now, usually I'm the most unorganized person on the planet, okay? I have no qualms saying that about myself. I had this wrote down. I had an alarm set in my phone, and I get up. I took the kid over to my folks' house just because he's on spring break this week.
Oh, okay.
And I left my phone in the car, and the alarm went off about 20 minutes before we were supposed to do our talk and all this.
It's all right. I forgive you. It's all good. I got 2 kids, too. I know what it's like to be distracted. It's all fine.
Oh,
Not a problem.
Well, with that being said, Candice Night joining me on the line right now. I do apologize. I felt bad, and like I've told Alan before, when I'm the idiot, I completely own it because
That's very big of you, actually. Did your wife teach you that?
no, that's growing up in Iowa. You just kind of like when you screwed up, you took it. You know.
You take responsibility.
Yeah. So
I love that. That's what this world is missing, more of that. You know that, right?
I did that one time at a job, and the guy looked at me like I was crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I mean, when you're wrong, you gotta own it, and then it makes it so much better. I mean, you know that you're remorseful, you know that you did wrong, and it's not gonna, you're not gonna do it again. You might do it again. I don't know, but maybe not to me.
No, never to you. I will never be late for a call with you again. So.
And we will laugh about this for years to come.
I certainly hope so. Candice Night joining me on the line right now from Blackmore's Night, got the new album out. But I got to ask you something before we get to the new album.
Okay.
So I'm looking at your Wikipedia page, like when I was actually doing some research. And one, you're from the world of radio, which I think is awesome.
Yes.
And
I agree. I do think that's awesome too, actually.
I want to talk about that, but when you were talking to Richie, you were asking him about ghosts. You're into the paranormal too?
Totally. Yes.
Oh, you could be the perfect woman.
I don't know about that. I'm not going to take that, but yes, absolutely. I mean, I always look at it like what you're seeing in front of you right now, all of these things that our senses are telling us, what you're seeing, what you're smelling, what you're hearing, everything. It's kind of like looking at a square, but when you are aware of that there's other realms out there too, you turn that square a little bit to the side and it becomes a cube with all of these different dimensions that you didn't even see when it was just so flat in front of you. So I always feel like this life and this journey we're taking, and it's multidimensional, this life for sure, but, being able to see those other dimensions and those other sides of what's in front of you and know that there's other things out there and the belief that there's other realms, it's always been fascinating. That's what Richie and I first started talking about. He didn't want to talk about music. He wanted to talk about paranormal stuff and supernatural. And we say it's not paranormal, it's very normal. It's not supernatural, it's very natural. That's what we say.
All right, so what's your very natural story? I mean, what kind of – this is what always fascinates me with this stuff is there's a couple ways that people get into this. They're either just it's fascinating or you had an experience that you can't explain and then you wanted to learn more.
But so many experiences. And I feel like when that door is open, look, if you want to analyze anything away, if you have an experience, you could say it was anything if you choose not to want to go down the path of belief. You can always analyze things away. And that's with everything in life, really. But for me, I had so many experiences and so many there's so many quote-unquote ghost stories that we've experienced. As a matter of fact, we always say, when Richie and I are traveling, and we're playing some of these castles that are 12th to 15th century, or we're staying in some of these places that, are well known to be haunted. And if we happen to get to a place that has a history like that is really quiet, we just say, well, we'll just pack our own ghost and bring it there. Because honestly, we love that. We want to keep that door open. We want to do that. You have time for a ghost? I'll give you a ghost story if you want to hear it.
I've got all the time in the world because this is between this and talking about radio, because radio to me is it's one of those things that I think it's fascinating to hear stories about. Not just hey, you remember that one time we did this on the air? I like the stories about radio. It's a craft to me, and
totally.
I love hearing those stories. So I have all the time in the world. And
I get that.
and the new album, Blackmore's Night. We'll put links
Yeah,
up.
that's kind of that's right. That's why we're here in the first place. Exactly. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so here's one, right? And like I said, there's been a lot, but so Richie and I are obviously very involved with other realms and the paranormal, and we got involved with communication and with seances and things, and but there was this one time we had found that when we were playing our music, that sort of took over the idea of that sort of spiritual communication. Like when you're in tune with playing your instrument and everything is working on a harmonic level, you've got kind of that hum where you feel like you're pulling from another place. You've got everything is open. That's where you get your creativity from. It's coming from somewhere else outside and channeling throughout you. And but you really have to be spiritually open in order to channel like that. And so one of the stories was, as we were creating some of these songs, one particular song is called Catherine Howard's Fate. And it was back from the second album, I believe, 1999, when we were recording Under Violet Moon. So Richie came up with this really interesting, intricate line on the acoustic guitar. And at that point, I was reading a Philippa Gregory novel called, it was about the wives of Henry VIII. And I was reading the story specifically on that section about Catherine Howard. So I thought, wow, the story of Catherine Howard, who was Henry VIII's youngest wife, and young mentally, too. I mean, she should have seen the track record as to what happened to the other wives prior to her and kind of she should have towed the line a little bit more when it came to Henry, just don't misbehave. This guy's not somebody to fool around with, But of course she winds up cheating on him because she's young and she's foolish, and he banishes her to the tower and he keeps her there, and she's writing letters to him every day about, I'm not writing to you as my king, I'm writing to you as my husband, I made a mistake, please take me back. And every day when the door opens, she thinks maybe it'll be him come to, take her back. And instead, the last day of her stay in the tower, it's the executioner that they come to lead her to and takes her away. So it's a very sad story and heart-wrenching. But the idea of it was, the idea of that story wound up in our song Catherine Howard's Fate that I wrote. And it's the first time when I write lyrics, Richie will play the guitar and I'll say, okay, we're going to try it out for the first time. Yeah. So we're sitting in the kitchen and he's got the acoustic guitar and I'm trying these lyrics for the very first time on the song. And as I'm singing to him, to see if this works, I would start looking around the kitchen and there is this mist that descends in our kitchen. And now Richie and I have learned that when one person sees something, you don't tell the other person what you saw, because then it's easily leading them to kind of see the same thing. So you don't want to do that. So you kind of just make a vague, a nod of the head that you've seen something and see what the other person has come up with. And so as I'm singing and this mist is coming around us, so we're definitely like the mists of Avalon just spreading throughout our kitchen. And I look up at Richie and I'm like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And he goes, oh, you mean the mist? Yes, it's exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm like, okay, so we had that acknowledgement. We wound up finishing up, the song, and it wound up exactly how we wanted it to be. And as we finish the last notes of the song, we look around and the mist dissipates and is gone. And I'm like, that was amazing and totally intense, that we kind of zoomed into another realm where we were able to see that. Okay, fast forward to now, we've recorded the song, we start touring, we take the songs over, and we play Catherine Howard's Fate in concert on our Under Violet Moon tour. We're about 15 minutes away from Hampton Court in England, where in an opera house, beautiful old opera house, but 15 minutes away from the actual place that Henry VIII has stayed and married Catherine Howard. This was where she lived. This is where this story happened. So we announced it on stage. Oh, we're going to play the song for you. It's a new song off our new album. We're not far away from where this whole entire story took place. And so I'm going through it with them. And it turns out that we play the song. Everything goes fine. At the end of the show, we go back to our hotel, go to sleep, wake up the next morning. It's one of these fancy hotels where you get your paper to the door, in the morning with your room service. Pick up the paper. Front cover says, Catherine Howard's ghost seen at Hampton Court. Paranormal investigators called.
No way.
I'm telling you, I still have the paper. It's upstairs in my closet. I kid you not. there is something powerful out there. And I'm not saying we summoned that, but I'm saying that's a very interesting coincidence that wound up happening exactly when we wound up playing that song that caused such an intense connection between us in our own kitchen, and then it kind of transferred over to right where we were playing that over in England. So interesting stories.
I don't know why, but I got like the craziest picture in my head of you guys sitting around in your kitchen. It's just so much mist.
True story.
No,
it happened probably
that's
just the way you're
great.
visualizing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Candice Night joining me on the line right now talking ghost stories and cool stuff because why not?
Exactly.
This stuff is fascinating to me, and I'm one of those people. I don't necessarily believe everything that comes across the desk, but I think it's neat to read about. I think it's neat to go ghost hunting. I think it's neat to learn the history and all this kind of stuff.
I love it. Absolutely. And that's, as a matter of fact, a lot of our songs come from paranormal stuff, from the other realm. There's a song that we did called The Other Side, which was based on a friend of mine. Her husband passed in a motorcycle accident, and she's devastated. And about a week later, his phone goes off in his pocket in the closet as an alarm reminder. And she's like, that's so weird. So she goes in there, still heavily grieving. She goes in there, she takes the phone out, she opens it up, and there was a reminder to go look at the moon. And she went outside, and it was a full moon. Apparently he had put it in his in his alarm to make them aware as a family to go outside. It was one of those rare blue super moons that he wanted. But what an amazing! I just got goosebumps actually. So that was called The Other Side. There's a song on here on our new album Feather in the Wind that I lost my dad in 2018, and seeing signs everywhere from him. One of them was feathers appearing in strange places, big white feathers in the kitchen. One in the bathroom, one in my car, all over the place. One of the ideas for the healing process, the grieving process for me, was to be able to write this song and take the signs and the symbols that he had sent to me, like these feathers was one of the signs, and it wound up being the song which at the end of the song we wind up that maybe we're all these spiritual feathers in the wind. Maybe we're all on this this journey and destination where we get blown through this journey and this path, and we wind up on the other side, and it's kind of a comforting thought to all wind up being in this together. And that's the idea behind Feather in the Wind was a very spiritual connection to the other side. Ghost of a Rose, another one. Spirit of the Sea. There's just so many songs in our repertoire that we have that are connected to the other side if you're looking for it.
You know what? I was kind of wondering. I know that bands do dress rehearsals and stuff, and to an empty house. I wonder if anyone's ever done a paranormal investigation with a concert for ghosts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I don't know. I do know that we've played some very haunted places, opera houses and things like that, where Richie and I know Richie has played some of these places when he was first starting out in England, some of the theaters, and where there was a lot of ghosts that had been through there that he was aware of. And he's had stories where he'd been on stage at this one particular opera house, and he said he was playing, and all of a sudden he looked down and he saw this ghostly pair of hands on the guitar as he was playing, but kind of went around him. So when we were playing that same place years later, he's like, okay, he's talking, we should talk to them, like it's a person right there, which basically they kind of are, just not in the physical sense, they're still there. You could still have a conversation with them. But for us, there's also that energy, so we'll get caught up in the electricity of it. So he'll be like, okay, if you can hear us, or if you're present, if you could flash the light bulb, and sure enough, stuff like that, it winds up happening when they're ready to communicate. So we did this around the world. It's just amazing.
See, the question I always ask, and I've asked a bunch of my friends in the paranormal world, is when you do that, people will do the thing of, hey, flash the light and we'll leave.
Right, yeah.
And then no one ever leaves.
Right, right. That's right.
I don't know why that's always funny to me, but it's like, hey, you made a deal with them to flash the light, and then you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. So
right, I think exactly. Or even or phone ringing. How it all these things come throughout these electrical kind of signs and symbols. It's pretty amazing.
Well,
Like I know when Richie's mom passed, he was in a hotel, and his sign to his mom was always, she always said to him, well, when you get to a place, ring the phone once so I know you're there. You know, I know
okay.
you're okay. So when his mom passed, he was in the hotel room, and at that moment, the phone in his hotel room rang once.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't get to the phone in time. He thought maybe someone was calling him. Nobody was there. He called downstairs to the front desk and he asked them, you know, can you tell me, like, they said no phone calls came through. There was nothing. Yeah, there's just so much. I mean, there's so much.
I can, do you have time? Can I tell you a quick story that's kind of along those lines?
Sure, yeah, of course.
So my uncle passed away years ago, and my cousin, she came to the funeral and she goes, "You'll never believe what I got today." For some reason, in the world of cell phones and towers and messages and whatever, a message from my uncle got stuck in the system and decided to show up on the day of his funeral. And it was him calling his daughter, and he was saying, "Hey, it's your dad. You know, if you don't pick up, I can't, you know, talk to you. And I love you and all that." It was the weirdest thing.
Oh, but how beautiful. What an amazing blessing was that. Oh, my God. I just got goosebumps again. I love that. I love those stories. If that doesn't make you believe, like, nothing's gonna, you know, I just think it's incredible.
There's a great beyond, and we know little about it.
Absolutely true. Absolutely.
Candice, should we talk about music?
Sure.
I don't know how long you've got. But we've been talking for about 15 minutes about the paranormal, and I couldn't be happier right now. So.
I know. We could go on forever. I wish. It's funny, you know. People always seem to wait until Halloween to want to talk about this stuff, but you know, we can go around, you know, year round with this. Yeah, I've got a couple more minutes. We could definitely talk about the album for sure.
We should probably talk about what we're here for. I
think so.
I will say
Alan's
this real quick.
Me.
Have you seen the movie Soul from Disney?
I have. Yes, I've got 2 kids. Of course I have.
The way you were talking about music and stuff made me think of that movie.
Yeah, I totally get that connection. I love. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I heard a click. Oh my God, I thought I lost you. I thought it was one of those electrical, spiritual things where we got cut off.
The paranormal is saying it's over.
That's right, exactly. They're keeping us on schedule there. Time means nothing in that realm, which
exactly.
I love too. Right? Time and I've never gotten along anyway. But yeah, I get that whole thing with and plus I love the fact that they had the musical connection in Soul also. You know, where the guy was the musician, and then you know, but then they had those different dimensions of with him trying to get back, and I mean, and it's great. I think that they have that for the children to be able to be comfortable with that too. You know, it's not taught that, you know, this is a taboo subject or that it's evil or something bad, you know, or even when they put out, you know, kids movies like Coco, you know, or things like that where they're celebrating the Day of the Dead. And if you keep your memories alive, then those people still are with you. And I think it's so important, you know, to be able to teach children at such a young age that it's not something to fear or be afraid of. And again, you get to Hollywood Times and they always, you know, when you get to Halloween, you know, Hollywood always makes it like it's a terror thing or it's a horror thing and you should be so afraid of ghosts and that's a shame. I mean, I get that people, you know, they like to be scared sometimes, but when you're a kid, I think it's interesting if you have that comfort of knowing that there's another realm out there.
Absolutely. Candice Night joining me on the line right now from Blackmore's Night. We're supposed to talk about the new album, Nature's Light, out now. We'll have links at the bottom of the page. You really are hippie meets Renaissance, aren't you?
I think so.
And I don't mean that, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all, but you're the ultimate throwback to some really great ages.
I think the greatest thing about living in this time is to look back to the other times that you've seen in history. And even if you didn't live through it in this lifetime, but like incorporate it and weave it into your world today. Like take the best parts of those times and make that into your identity and your personality and the way that you see things in this life, you know, in this time around and in this realm. So yeah, I definitely think I have a little bit of a lot of different realms that came before, and hippie times are for sure one of them. That respect of nature, getting out and hugging a tree, that kind of thing, you know, peace and love. But I just that freedom, that creative freedom. I love that aspect of it.
I was thinking, I was like, man, will she take offense to that if I say it? And
no,
because it was one of those things that I think it is a perfect descriptor. if I was going to say, hey, what do you know about Candice Night? I'm pretty sure she is a hippie in a Renaissance world.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I see that in myself, like a bit of that little wild child spirit who, yeah, absolutely likes to just run barefoot through the grass and to feel the wind in her hair and watch a star-filled sky, looking for shooting stars, and still doing that. Catching fireflies with my kids. I mean, it's an amazing thing, and I'm always. My kids ask me when I'm going to grow up. I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Right.
I told them I'll be here to embarrass them for a very long time. So.
How old are your kids?
9 and 10. It's that crazy time of year where it sounds like I was insane having them so close in age, but they're actually 18 months apart. So soon my daughter in May will jump ahead to 11, and my son, who keeps thinking he's catching up with her right now, goes, she got ahead again, Mom. I thought I was there. She's only 10. Now I'm catching up, but nope, she's going to jump to 11.
Oh, wow. Candice Night joining me on the line right now. What do you guys got coming up this year? What's next for Blackmore's Night? What's next for you? What are we working on? What are we doing?
I am actually working on a solo album. So I've got about 5 songs recorded for that already. So that hopefully will be out, if not the end of this year, then the beginning of next. I know and I'm jumping ahead now, for Christmas time, we are definitely putting out another thing for Christmas. We put out a 4-track EP this last time because we had the songs. We were waiting to go back into the studio and put out, record the rest of the songs. So we had a full album out and everything shut down. So we figured, we have the songs. Let's just put it out for the people, to hear this last Christmas. So it was only 4 tracks on the EP, but at least it was something to get them through a Christmas that was going to be very different than any other Christmas. So, we had that out there. But we're planning on redoing and repackaging Winter Carols, which was our Christmas CD, and putting even more tracks on there, so everybody has a great time. Hopefully, this coming up Christmas time or holiday time, there's songs on there for everyone. And also, we were hoping to resurrect some of those tour dates for sure. So we're talking to our agent and having them, put together the stuff as soon as venues start opening again. Even if it's under the perfect safety protocols, we just want to get back out on the stage and play for people and be able to touch people's hands again and hopefully and take requests from the audience and do our Blackmore's Night thing. And then next year is going to be our 25th anniversary, so I'm sure we're going to have something awesome planned for everybody that day when that comes.
Well, I hope you remember us when you get to that point.
Of course I will. This has been a great interview, so we would definitely have to do this again.
All right, Candice. Well, I've talked your ear off today, and I feel kind of bad about it, especially when I missed your call the first time.
But look at how we made up for it. See, everything happens for a reason. So I had a really good time.
Well, Candice, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good luck with the album. Good luck with everything. And please give us a call down the road, okay?
Definitely. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.